Well, I have a whole bunch of French knots to do, and I thought, why not turn on the camera for a little bit and see if I could figure out something to share with you guys that might be inspiring while I was stitching. I'm doing so much of the same things that I'm often afraid it's just going to be a boring video because it's one French knot after another, but I do want to stay connected to you. So I'll tell you that I'm doing four corners. I've got one corner done, and this will be another corner, and I've got two more to do. And it's because I need to extend the canvas that I'm working on. I have the center part of it done, but I want to create some hills and valleys, and I need a larger piece. And because my hoop is only so big, I need to make pieces that I can add on to the rest of it. And because this is the first time I've ever done a piece that finished is going to be 12 inches across, like a 12-inch square. I'm just kind of figuring this out as I go. So what I figured out was that I needed a whole bunch more French knots. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm using a fingering weight yarn, which I absolutely love to stitch with. This is Moss from Pearl and Clover on Etsy, and I will put a link to them down in the description box. I hope everybody is having an awesome day. This is pretty much what I do all day long. I will stitch until my back starts to ache, and then I'll get up and move around a little bit, and then I'll sit down and do the same thing over and over again. And I guess, some people might get bored. It's like, oh, you're doing the same stitch in the same color, and you've got to do so much of it. But to me, I don't know, it's part of the process. I take great joy in it. I sometimes get into trouble because I cut very long strands of yarn. And so, of course, that can get tangled up underneath. If it gets tangled on top, I don't worry about it. If this was a knot, I would just sort of lay that down and then continue to do French knots over the top of it, because that would just add additional texture. It would make it a little bit taller in some places. I'm not going to worry about it. If you've been watching me at all, you'll know that I am a recovering perfectionist. There is no reason to stress out about any of the creative work that you are doing. If you are not doing the work that's bringing you joy, then maybe you need to find another way to express your creativity. At least that's my opinion. I used to stress about all of it, especially when I was writing. I tell you what, Little Miss Perfectionist came out all the time when I was writing. She's like, no, you can't send this in. You can't submit that. You can't do that. It's not perfect yet. And then what would happen is I would spend so much time arguing with Little Miss Perfectionist that by the time I got around to finishing the book that I was sure was absolutely perfect, there was already one out on that topic, and the editors weren't interested in it. The publisher said, no, we already have that one. So when I turned to art, it was a struggle. It was a struggle to wanting to do that perfect thing. And of course, I was new at art. I hadn't been doing it. I'd been writing for 25 years. I kind of felt like I knew what I was doing there. Art was brand new. And I had a bad habit, especially when I was younger. I've gotten better at it. But if I wasn't good at something the first or second or third time I did it, I quit. And isn't that silly? I mean, how crazy is that to give up because you're not any good at it when you first try? I mean, when you're a baby and you're learning how to crawl, you don't figure it out right away. You don't figure out how to walk right away. And you don't have the other kids walking around saying, wow, aren't you silly because you haven't figured out how to walk yet? You got to give yourself that time to practice and be kind to yourself. It's taken me a long time to figure that out, but I kind of think I've got it dialed in. I kind of think now I figured out there's some things I'm experimenting with, and like the needle felting. I love the look of needle felting to go on my pieces, but I'm brand new at it. So I've not added any to it yet because I don't feel like I'm there yet, but that's okay. I know I have to practice. I'm not beating myself up saying, well, gee, you made those mushrooms and they look so-so, but they're not good enough and you should just give up now. No, it just means I got to put in more time and practice. Now I have a bunch of needles threaded, and rather than flip you upside down, I'm just going to let that hang there and grab one of my other ones. And we're just going to keep going. I did grab, I'll show you. You might have seen my post about this. I did grab some little tiny butterflies. I thought, oh, wouldn't those be really cute to add in there? But they're acrylic, they're plastic. And leave that there for a minute and you'll see they just don't look right. Now, if I can figure out how to make little tiny ones like that out of needle felting, that might be something else. It's not a big, it's not like I'm thinking about it every day. It's like, oh, how can I add a butterfly? But I'm glad I bought them so that I can then remove that idea from my head. It's like, no, was not for me. Mostly I'm just kind of trying to figure out how I can add more elements that are going to work with the piece, enrich the piece. I want to go vertically more. I was going to do some more needle weaving like you would do with the woven picot, however you say that. You see it a lot with leaves that come out, and no, I don't want to do that. So I think that's going to be some more needle felting or just some more playing with wool. I do have some little tiny pine cones and feathers. And again, they're not the same texture, so they might not work as well as I think they will, but I'm going to give them a try. It's hard. So I wonder, do you have any kind of repetitive thing like this? Now, I'm not going to leave them all green. When I am done and ready to add them to the larger piece, I will add, well, they'll still be green, but I will add some other greens probably on top. But I don't know, somebody said, don't you get tired of using the same color yarn all the time? No, I don't. I have so many different shades of green, and when I walk outside and I look at what we've got growing around the yard, there's so many different shades of green. I could never get bored. I'm kind of excited to think about how many different ways I can create these naturescapes with my French knots. It's like sculpting. It's like painting. I don't know. It'll be fun to see where it goes. So I would love to be doing more videos, but since this is pretty much what I'm doing all day, unless people have questions for me, I'm not really sure what to talk about. And I don't really know that I want to go live all the time doing them, because I know a lot of people don't really care for the lives, but maybe that's what I should do. Or I'll just sit here and stitch and tell you what's going on in my day. What's going on today is we are hoping we've got some rain coming. That's what they're telling us, perhaps on Monday. Whoops, I got something funky there. I don't know. Sometimes I just don't pay attention when I'm pulling it through and it goes wonky. But wonky's what it's all about, right? These are not perfect French knots. I don't want perfect French knots. I want organic French knots, because that's going to make them look more like the mossy hills or the grassy hills, or however you want to imagine it. We are all going to bring our previous life experiences to the art, and it may not be your kind of art. Been listening to a lot of podcasts lately about art, and people get so worked up over, well, I don't like that, and that's ugly, that's not, that's not really art. You can't tell me what I make isn't art, and I can't tell you what you make isn't art. If you made something that wasn't there before, you took the materials that you had at hand and you applied your creative mind, your imagination, your effort to it, and brought something brand new into being, that's art. You don't have to like each other's art. You can't possibly like all the art. I can go to a museum and I might only find one or two paintings there I like. And you might find one or two different paintings that you like. And that's what makes us all interesting people, because we all have all these different things that we enjoy. So this is what I'm going to spend the next few days doing. I have one corner done. This is the second one, and I have 2 more to start. And that is all there is to my days right now. So it's kind of boring, except it's not. It's not for me. As I watch it come to life, it's not boring. I hope whatever you're doing to be creative today is exciting to you in the moment. And if it's not exciting, if it's not making you happy, well, then why are you doing it, right?